Astonishment, sadness, and deep regret are the emotions I feel after researching and exploring the lives of over 100 Black celebrities linked to the cruel shadows and heartlessness of the music industry. Hello everyone, we are our Memory Vault, and this is the video 21 Black musicians who disappeared and you didn't know about. This greatly influences how we perceive the glory of past decades, and it might leave you shocked. This video is suitable for watching while resting, eating with family, or doing housework. All information in this video is researched and collected from multiple sources. If there are any inaccuracies, please leave a comment below to help the channel grow. Please follow the channel, hit the like button, and turn on notifications to receive the earliest videos. Now, let's go straight to our first characters. Florence Ballard. When mentioning the golden era of music in the 60s, no one can forget the melodic tunes that captivated countless generations. Florence Ballard, with her powerful and emotional voice, was the very first foundation block that built the legendary girl group The Supremes. She was not just a background singer, but truly the soul, the one who ignited the flames of artistry during the group's most difficult days. The glorious stage lights once honored her, and the thunderous applause echoed endlessly, giving strong belief in a bright future for a young girl full of ambition. However, the rules of the entertainment industry have never been filled with human kindness. When record labels began changing their strategies and focusing all their attention on polishing another individual's image, Florence was gradually pushed into the shadows. She lost her center position, was deprived of her artistic voice, and was ultimately cruelly cast aside from the very musical home she had painstakingly built. Life after the spotlight was a series of days sliding into resentment, poverty, and loneliness. She struggled with household bills and family burdens, gradually collapsing under the weight of mental pain that could never be relieved. From the perspective of the Our Memory Vault team, the story of Florence Ballard is a sad indictment of how people treat each other when greed and profit are weighed on the scales. The fact that she closed her eyes forever at the age of 32 in destitution is not just a loss of talent, but also proof that stage lights can be so bright that they burn the very people who created them. We believe that the true value of an artist should not be determined by commercial calculations, and even as time passes, Florence's original voice will always be a part of the legacy that cannot be erased from the hearts of true music lovers. Candi Staton. Returning to the vibrant years of the 70s, the fast-paced and free melody of the song Young Hearts Run Free became an anthem for an entire generation. Standing behind that resounding hit was Candi Staton, the woman dubbed the Queen of Southern Soul in America. She possessed a smooth, deep voice, carrying the experience of a woman who had tasted enough of life's ups and downs. Candi's music was not just a means of entertainment, but also a spiritual anchor, a sympathetic resonance that helped soothe hearts wavering amidst the bustling flow of life. However, the flow of time has never stopped to wait for anyone. When the disco music trend waned and gave way to newer musical trends, Candi Staton's name suddenly fell into a quiet void. Contracts became sparse, and the record labels that once sought her out turned their backs coldly. Not only struggling with a plummeting career, she also had to face massive financial burdens, even having to sadly sell her home filled with memories to pay off debts after the collapse of her marriage. Her disappearance from prestigious charts happened so quickly that many loyal fans didn't even notice in time. From in-depth research, our Memory Vault highly appreciates the resilience and extraordinary strength of Candi Staton. Instead of sinking into despair or blaming a heartless industry, she chose to find peace in simple, sacred gospel music. Our perspective is that human success sometimes does not lie in how long you stand at the peak of glory, but in how calmly you walk through the storms to keep peace for your soul. Candi's step back was not a failure, but a very clear-headed choice to save her own life from empty vanities. That is just the beginning, because the next story about the giant of disco music will certainly leave you unable to believe your eyes. Let's wait and see what really pushed him to the end of the road. Jimmy Ellis. If you have lived through the most glorious days of the disco era, surely you cannot forget the fervent atmosphere under the glittering mirror balls. Jimmy Ellis, the lead singer of the band The Tramps, was the one who ignited the endless flame of passion through the classic song Disco Inferno. His powerful, high-pitched, and generous voice became the soul of Sleepless Nights, turning this song into a pop culture icon, selling millions of records and creeping into every small corner of spiritual life at that time. But every flame eventually has to fade. The sudden decline of the disco movement in the late 70s brought about an extremely tragic chain reaction of collapse. From a superstar cheered by tens of thousands in packed stadiums, Jimmy was quickly abandoned by the music industry without mercy. He was forced to continue making a living by singing in dingy, empty pubs where small wages were barely enough to maintain a day-to-day existence. Oblivion arrived like an invisible storm, sweeping away everything he was once proud of and dedicated to. The Our Memory Vault team feels extremely saddened when reflecting on the final years of Jimmy Ellis's life, especially when he had to struggle with Alzheimer's disease. It is heartbreaking that this very great artist forgot his own brilliant legacy before the world had a chance to remember who he was. We assert that the entertainment industry is like a machine that crushes emotions where people are only cheered for as long as they have use value. Nevertheless, the flame that Jimmy lit on the stage back then will forever shine warmly in the memories of audiences who appreciate true art. Gloria Jones. Many of us are perhaps too familiar with the catchy melody of the song Tainted Love, but few know Gloria Jones, the talented black artist who recorded the original powerful version in the mid-60s. She was not only a powerful vocalist of the Northern Soul genre, but also a producer, a woman with an artistic vision ahead of her time. Gloria's life was once a beautiful picture fulfilled beside her soulmate. A talented musician with the same direction. Together, they wrote passionate love songs. However, fate sometimes arranges tragic turns. On an autumn night in 1977, a serious traffic accident permanently took the life of the man she loved most, leaving Gloria with heavy physical and mental injuries. Sinking into the depths of loss, she not only received no sympathy, but became the focal point of criticism from public opinion and the media at that time. The cold judgment of the crowd pushed that fragile woman into a corner, turning her brilliant days into a persistent nightmare with no way out. Our Memory Vault channel has a perspective full of empathy and respect for Gloria Jones's decision to leave the limelight. Unable to endure the pressure of public opinion and unjust judgments, she chose to take her child and leave America, seeking a remote land in West Africa to heal her heart's wounds. We believe that Gloria's disappearance was not fleeing, but an instinct to survive and protect her family from the storms of public opinion. Her story is a profound reminder of the destructive power of public opinion and the right of every human being to live in peace after the spotlight fades. Philippe Wynne. When the smooth melodies of the group The Spinners play, middle-aged audiences will immediately remember a soulful, passionate, and vibrant voice. Philippe Wynne was the perfect piece, the soul that took the group's name to the pinnacle of fame throughout the 70s. His graceful performance style, amazing vocal runs, and radiant smile brought a positive energy, dispelling many hardships in the lives of millions of listeners passionate about soul music worldwide. However, behind the sunny smiles on stage were cracks that could not be mended behind the scenes. Upon realizing his talent and massive contributions were not paid worthily due to exploitative contracts, Philippe chose to leave in sorrow. He longed to assert himself on the path of a solo singer, but the music industry favored old routines rather than supporting a lonely individual. From large, brightly lit stages, he had to accept performing in small, dingy venues, living on meager wages while longing for recognition. From Our Memory Vault's perspective, Philippe Wynne's story is deeply tragic for a talent judged incorrectly. The image of him collapsing on a small, dingy stage while exhausting his final drops of energy for art is a haunting image that takes away the tears of many music lovers. We believe that there is no greater sorrow than an artist who dedicates their entire youth to enriching the industry but ultimately dies in poverty and oblivion. His passing leaves a permanent void, but that voice will forever be a precious gem in the flow of time. But wait, can you believe it? The next artist on this list had to give up his real name and his homeland just because of a secret that society at the time could not accept. Let's continue watching right now. Arthur Conley. Entering the 60s. American mass music witnessed the spectacular breakthrough of the young man Arthur Conley. As an excellent student and supported wholeheartedly by the soul legend Otis Redding, Arthur quickly asserted his firm position in the competitive artistic sky. The Lifetime hit Sweet Soul Music not only broke all prestigious charts, but also echoed vibrantly on every street coffee shop and radio station at that time. The young man, with a gentle smile and a rustic yet emotional voice, captivated audiences of all ages. His future seemed to have been paved with the most brilliant rose petals, promising long steps on the path of professional art and fame. However, there is a harsh truth that the soul music industry of that period was covered by extremely strict and conservative prejudices. Arthur carried within him a deep secret that society at the time was not ready to embrace. He was gay. When malicious rumors began to buzz in the media and among colleagues instead of being protected, he faced a wave of boycotts and chilling indifference. That invisible but heavy pressure forced the talented artist to make a very sad decision to save his own soul. He silently left his American homeland, fleeing to the far-off country of the Netherlands. There, he changed his name to Lee Roberts, personally erasing his glorious past completely and living a hidden life unknown to anyone until he closed his eyes forever. The Our Memory Vault team feels extremely choked up at the adversity Arthur Conley had to endure for most of his life. It is cruel that an outstanding musical talent was crushed without mercy just because of the narrow-minded barriers and prejudices of the old society. We believe that art has no boundaries, and every individual deserves to be respected and to live true to their own self without being judged. The fact that Arthur had to personally kill the name that made his youth to exchange for peace is a sad indictment of a period lacking tolerance. His legacy, though blurred by time, remains a profound reminder of the kindness and empathy we need in this life. Gwen Guthrie. Moving to the vibrant era of the 80s, the foundation of dance music was brightly lit by a charismatic voice named Gwen Guthrie. With a liberal performance style and endless energy, she was hailed by fans as the queen of fiery dance floors. The iconic song, Ain't Nothing Goin' On But the Rent, was not just a catchy tune, but also a powerful manifesto about the independence and financial self-mastery of women in modern society. Gwen inspired millions of women, awakening in them confidence and pride through straightforward lyrics, driving rhythms, and a powerful voice that was rare to find during that period. However, the harsh cycle of musical tastes has never known how to go easy on any legend when trends begin to change. When new trends rose to the throne, radio stations gradually turned their backs on her music, leading to a serious decline in performance contracts and recording revenue. Even more sadly, while her career was wavering, Gwen quietly received a harsh verdict from her doctor with an incurable disease. Due to immense self-respect, she kept her illness secret, not wanting to receive any pity or donations from the public. The once proud woman had to sadly sell her precious engagement ring, move to a cramped rented apartment, to struggle to pay massive hospital bills, and finally depart in silence that was heartbreaking. Through Gwen Guthrie's story, the Our Memory Vault channel wants to express boundless admiration for the resilient, indomitable spirit of a true artist. Her refusal to use her illness to exchange for the media's pity is the clearest proof of the noble character of a true queen. From a personal perspective, we see the heartlessness of the entertainment industry, always waiting to drain strength and then forget those who once brought them glorious fame. Although her final years were full of sorrow and loneliness, the echoes from Gwen's songs remain a huge source of spiritual strength, cheering for the freedom and rise of women around the world. Bobby DeBarge. Turning back the clock to the final years of the 70s, we cannot fail to mention a male singer possessing an angelic falsetto, Bobby DeBarge. Under the brilliant stage lights, the lead singer of the band Switch melted millions of listeners' hearts, especially the youth. With a romantic appearance, flowing hair, and a charming smile, Bobby possessed all the elements to become an iconic idol of the era. The sweet, deep love songs through his performance continuously dominated prestigious charts, bringing in massive profits for the Motown record label and opening a bright future horizon, promising a solid solo career for the talented young artist. However, the dark side of early fame is always traps of psychological traps full of dangers that not everyone is brave enough to overcome. The pressure to continuously maintain the peak, the schedule of performances, draining strength along with deep mental trauma from early childhood pushed Bobby to slide into the darkness of stimulants. The tragedy reached its peak when he fell into legal trouble due to reckless mistakes, causing every lucrative contract to be immediately canceled by the record label with total coldness. Even more painfully, in a cold prison, he received a medical report with terrible news about an incurable immune deficiency disease. That cruel disease quickly stole the vitality of the once romantic boy, leaving him haggard, broken, and departing in the surprise and endless regret of those who remained. The Our Memory Vault channel is extremely heartbroken when looking back at the panoramic picture of the tragic life of male singer Bobby DeBarge. It is ironic that a person who brought pure, high-pitched sounds like heaven had to experience the most bitter, dark tragedies on earth. We believe that the contemporary artist management system completely failed to protect the mental health of young stars, only viewing them as emotionless money-printing machines. Although personal mistakes cannot be denied, the cold rejection of the industry as soon as the artist slipped is the very barrier preventing them from starting over. Bobby's high-pitched voice will always be a painful reminder of the expensive price of glorious fame. Willie Hutch, mentioning the golden era of street culture, street films of the 70s, the soul that made those works come alive, is none other than the brilliant musician and music producer Willie Hutch. Playing the role of a powerful sound wizard at the famous Motown record label, Willie possessed an artistic mind ahead of his time, shaping countless classic melodies that went with the years. He not only composed excellent film music, but was also the one behind staging hit songs for countless other singers, contributing no small part to the massive revenue explosion for the corporation. During his peak years, Willie wore a dignified demeanor, walking through lavish parties as one of the irreplaceable pillars of the industry. However, loyalty and outstanding talent sometimes cannot defeat the cold calculations of business capitalists. Entering the 80s, when Motown decided to transform and restructure its operating machine, they cruelly scratched Willie Hutch's name out of every future strategy without a proper explanation. From an honorable guest who could not be absent, he was deprived of the right to attend important meetings, and hard-earned royalties were also delayed suspiciously. Deprived of tools for his work, the talented musician was forced to retreat to manage a small record shop on a street corner, struggling to deal with massive tax debts. Finally, he had to sadly sell his expensive Cadillac, the last memento of his golden age, and live sad days until he closed his eyes. Through a process of profound research into the lives of artists, the Our Memory Vault team feels indignant at the ungrateful and heartless way a large corporation treated a veteran like Willie Hutch. This is a sad testament to how pragmatic the entertainment world is when you no longer create new value. All great contributions in the past can be erased with an indifferent stroke of a pen. Our personal viewpoint is that an artist, no matter how outstanding, if they do not hold legal and contractual autonomy, will easily become a pawn on someone else's economic chessboard. Although Willie departed in the silence of the media, his timeless melodies are still day and night nourishing the souls of millions of true music lovers. Betty Davis. At a time when barriers of social norms still tied women into narrow templates, Betty Davis's appearance was like a whirlwind breaking every old habit. Honored as the pioneering queen of funk music, she brought an image of a wild, outspoken, and freely feminist artist. Stepping onto the stage with bold outfits, a characteristic husky voice, and liberal dance moves, Betty publicly sang about desires, freedom, and the independence of Black women. Her albums from that period were not merely products for entertainment, but truly steel manifestos asserting a very strong ego, unwilling to submit to any manipulation or prejudice from society. Her breakthrough in being ahead of her time accidentally touched the conservatism of a non-negligible part of contemporary society, creating a wave of opposition full of prejudice. Major radio stations simultaneously issued bans on playing her songs. Extremist organizations organized demonstrations to boycott her albums, labeling her as an individual negatively influencing social morality. Facing a fierce wave of attacks from the media and even contemptuous looks from colleagues, fearing risk, Betty Davis had to endure an extremely fierce psychological battle all alone. Too tired and exhausted before a world that did not understand the true value of her original art, she made a shocking decision. Personally, cancel every contract completely, withdraw from the entertainment world, and live isolated in her apartment for decades of peace. The Our Memory Vault team carries within itself deep respect for Betty Davis's decision to withdraw, full of resistance and steadfastness. We assert that her disappearance did not carry the meaning of fleeing or shameful failure, but was a frank action aimed at rejecting an industry that favors obedience and conformity. Better to choose to live an unknown, quiet life than to have to bend oneself to satisfy fake standards imposed by society. Betty's story is a valuable lesson about courage, about daring to hold on to one's stance before the crushing pressure of the crowd. Although the world forgot her for a long time, her immortal pioneering spirit paved the way for countless personality-filled female artists to confidently shine later on. Leon Ware. In the world of smooth love songs of the 70s, the name Leon Ware was originally a quiet treasure that music connoisseurs all cherished. He was the talented architect behind the soaring, seductive melodies in the masterpieces of singer Marvin Gaye. With delicate musical perception, Leon was not only a composer, but also an emotional artist, the one who blew soul into lyrics about love, loneliness, and the desire to connect souls. His notes had the power to creep into the deepest layers of emotion where ordinary words became helpless. Leon dedicated his life to building love dreams for others, but he himself rarely stood in the light of deserved recognition. Leon Ware's tragedy began with his name being completely eclipsed under the shadow of the A-list stars he served. Record labels frequently forced him to surrender work copyrights, removing his name from the album cover, causing the audience to completely not know who actually created those legendary hits. When trying to step into the light as a solo singer, he was rejected by the market because his artistic style was too profound and lacked the polish necessary to become a commercial star. For many years after that, Leon had to live by composing short commercial jingles, scraping together every small fee to maintain life in deprivation, sorrow, and dignity, deeply hurt every time he had to see his products honored under someone else's name. From the Our Memory Vault's perspective, the story of Leon Ware is a harsh reflection of the music industry, where craftsmen are silently drained of creativity to nurture glory for others. We believe that Leon's greatness does not lie in the number of albums sold or his position on charts, but in the depth of the souls he touched. His silence before injustice was not weakness, but the noble endurance of a true artist. Through Leon's life, we learn that the true value of art sometimes lies in nameless corners, and his persistent kindness left an invaluable musical legacy that time cannot erode. O.V. Wright. If you are looking for a voice that can describe the complete breakdown of a heart, it is O.V. Wright. He was an icon of deep soul in the American South, where music was not just singing, but the pouring out of confidences from the most sincere pains. Wright's recordings in the early 70s carried the weight of harsh life experiences, poverty, and the desire to be loved amidst a world full of injustices. His delivery, his sobbing in every lyric, created a distinct artistic standard, making listeners feel as if they were hypnotized by the very sadness he was bearing. It was music of the truth, not flowery, not fake. However, Wright's life was also a prolonged tragedy, of which he himself was a victim. The pressure of having to maintain performance form on dingy stages caused him to gradually turn to stimulants as the only way to escape reality. When legal trouble arrived after an unintended collision, his career stalled and the already narrow stage doors closed completely. Wright was abandoned in a dark rented room facing massive debts and a body gradually exhausted due to a self-indulgent lifestyle. His disappearance from the music scene was not voluntary, but the result of a process of being abandoned by society and himself, leaving a haunting silence in musical history. Our Memory Vault's perspective on O.V. Wright's life is a sincere compassion for talents toyed with by fate. We believe that not every artist has the strength to balance the harshness of the entertainment world with their own soul's wounds. Wright's failure was not just a personal fault, but also a deficiency in the support system for artists when they were at their most vulnerable stage. We cherish his voice, seeing it as proof of how beautiful music can be, even when it is born from ruins. O.V. Wright's legacy is a reminder that we need to listen more to the weak voices at the bottom of society before they permanently vanish into the void. Lonnie Liston Smith. In the wave of intersection between jazz and funk, Lonnie Liston Smith emerged as a pioneering artist with melodic, cosmic, and mesmerizing tunes. He was not only a masterful pianist, but also a musical sage, leading listeners into vast spiritual spaces through the sounds of electronic keyboards. His albums in the mid-70s were not only warmly received, but also became an endless inspiration for hip-hop artists later on. Lonnie brought elegant sophistication and a revolutionary artistic mind, completely changing how we listen and feel about the connection between traditional and modern music genres. Everything changed when the music market shifted dramatically in the 80s, making Lonnie's contemplative jazz-funk melodies become outdated in the eyes of record label bosses. Investment gradually decreased, and the performance schedule was dense without media support, which wore down his creativity. The more he tried to catch up with new trends, the more he felt like a stranger in the very world he once mastered. Frustration rose when he realized that the public no longer wanted to hear the stories he wanted to tell. Lonnie gradually retreated to private spaces, quietly putting away his piano, refusing all interview invitations, and gradually disappearing from the media's sight, creating a void that left many fans feeling lost and searching in vain. With our Memory Vault, Lonnie Liston Smith's life is a lesson about the self-respect of an artist before the unstoppable flow of the market. We believe that his choice to retreat instead of trying to change his artistic identity to please the public is an extremely precious decision. It was not a disappearance in failure, but a preservation of dignity before a world becoming increasingly shallow and pragmatic. Our perspective is very clear. A true artist always knows when to speak and when to remain silent to maintain integrity. Lonnie may no longer be the center of attention, but his melodies will forever be bright stars in the souls of those who love beauty. Major Lance. Major Lance was a typical face of Chicago soul who created phenomenal dance moves that captivated an entire generation of young Black Americans. With a slender voice, elegant appearance, and a performance style full of confidence, he was once a symbol of success and pride. His hits did not just carry entertainment meaning, but also played an important role in shaping fashion styles and club culture at that time. Major Lance was the one who taught the youth how to enjoy life through music, turning every performance into a party of joy and community connection. He once stepped to the pinnacle of his career as an irreplaceable star in the hearts of fans. However, his decline began when luxurious habits gradually exceeded his financial capacity, leading him to find risky paths to maintain a regal lifestyle. When legal trouble occurred, it was like a bomb detonating all the reputation he had painstakingly built for many years. Radio stations turning their backs and the coldness of event organizers left Major in complete destitution. He had to spend his final years in seclusion, looking at old posters of himself in old theaters with eyes full of regret. His disappearance from musical life was not just an isolated event, but a long-lasting pain for those who once loved that voice. For our Memory Vault, Major Lance's life is a story full of warnings about the vanity of stage glory. We believe that people are often easily blinded by the spotlight and forget to keep their feet on the ground. The story about Major Lance should not be seen as a judgment on moral character, but should be a reminder of the fragility of fame. His silence in his final years was a time to reflect on mistakes and seek forgiveness from himself. We hope through telling this story, future generations can understand more about the deep anxieties behind every artist from there, knowing how to appreciate and empathize with them more. Howard Tate. Howard Tate was once considered one of the wizard vocalists of Southern soul, who had the ability to change the mood of an entire auditorium with just a few opening lyrics. He was not just a singer, but a storyteller through sound, turning every note into a dramatic soul experience. The late 60s were Howard's peak, with music that not only succeeded commercially, but was also highly rated by experts. He was once the hope of so many people, a promising young talent ready to capture the highest position on the world music map. His radiant future was something everyone believed in and expected. But life's tragedy is hard to foresee when a massive family trauma completely shattered Howard mentally. In despair, he turned to banned substances to soothe the pain, gradually losing control and sliding down into the abyss. His career not only stopped, but was wiped from the public memory. For a period, people even believed he had died in a mysterious accident, while in reality, he was living vagrantly in dark corners, facing homelessness and disease. His disappearance was completely quiet, like a shadow swallowed by city lights without anyone knowing or caring to search for him. Our memory vault feels extremely pained when looking back at a genius who had to endure such dark days. We assert that society at the time was too indifferent to the personal traumas of artists, treating them as cheap entertainment news instead of pains needing relief. The fact that Howard could overcome everything to find peace in his final years is proof of the power of recovery. Our perspective is very clear. Art should not be separated from humanity. Howard Tate deserves to be remembered not just for his excellent voice, but for the persistent journey of finding himself amidst a world full of harsh challenges. Linda Jones. Mentioning the most powerful female vocalists of the 70s, one cannot fail to name Linda Jones, who was once favored by music lovers with the nickname Queen of Soul, full of potential. With a mesmerizing appearance, Linda not only captured the hearts of listeners with peak vocal technique, but also with a sensitive soul, putting all her feelings into every lyric. The hit Hypnotized is proof of artistic sublimation when she perfectly combined modern soul melodies and sincerity from deep within. The audience at that time always looked forward to her performances, where her clear voice was like a cool stream, washing away all the troubles of reality, taking them into a magical musical world full of emotion. However, behind the radiant spotlight was a life-and-death battle with the cruel diabetes she had to face every day. She always carried sugar tablets with her like an unwilling companion, always living in anxiety that a hypoglycemic attack could strike at any moment right on stage. The tragedy reached its peak when she took her final breath right after a recording session when she was very young and her career was at its most brilliant threshold. Her sudden disappearance not only left infinite pain for her family, but also left the entire artistic world shocked because they had lost an angel with a voice that hypnotized the world, never to be repeated again. For our memory vault. The story about Linda Jones is a sad reminder of the fragility of life. We believe that artists often have to trade health to dedicate masterpieces to the public, and sometimes that trade is too cruel. The fact that Linda always tried to keep optimism despite facing illness shows her extraordinary will. We assert that there needs to be more care and support for artists in health management so they do not have to depart in incompletion. Although she has departed from the human world, her recordings still echo as witnesses to a great talent who burned herself out even though the time allotted for her life was too short. Little Beaver. If you have ever immersed yourself in the smooth guitar melodies of American Southern funk, surely the magic hands of the artist Little Beaver have once mesmerized you. He was not a star who liked to show off in the press, but a talented musician who turned the guitar into the voice of the soul. In the 70s, Beaver was an indispensable figure in Miami studios, where he created unique sounds, shaping a distinct identity for local music. Every time he touched the fretboard, music flowed, drawing listeners into a quiet space but full of emotion. His humility and pure passion for music made him a treasure in the hearts of his colleagues and loyal fans. But the artistic life is full of risks. When music contracts begin to change nature, pushing artists like Beaver into difficult situations, the unfairness in profit sharing and unfulfilled commitments from record labels gradually eroded his enthusiasm. Beaver chose silence, giving up flashy promises to retreat to a quiet life in an old apartment. His disappearance lasted for decades, leaving the media wondering about the whereabouts of the guitar master from years ago. He personally left the stage, closing his heart to an industry he felt no longer had room for sincerity and true love for music, leaving the guitar hanging on the wall as a symbol of regret. The Our Memory Vault channel highly appreciates the noble silence that Little Beaver chose. We believe that giving up fame to find peace in the soul is a bravery that needs to be honored. Our channel's perspective is very clear. A true artist does not need the crowd's cheers to assert self-worth. His withdrawal is an act asserting personality, showing that when art is overly commercialized, the artist has the right to choose to stay out of the game. We hope through this story, the audience will have a more tolerant and understanding look at the necessary pauses in the life of each great artist, those who always choose to keep something primitive for themselves. J. Blackfoot. America in the early 80s was introduced to a soul style full of grit, but also very lyrical, through the voice of J. Blackfoot. With the hit Taxi, he created an unforgettable mark in the hearts of soul music listeners. Blackfoot was the model of a self-made artist who rose from dingy bars carrying street stories into every lyric. His voice carried the breath of life, yet also contained a melancholy sadness, making anyone who heard it feel as if he were telling their own life story. He was an artist of the public who did not hesitate to sing for ordinary people in small parties or local community events. J. Blackfoot's greatest tragedy was the change in musical taste that pushed him out of the mainstream, turning him into an unknown wanderer on dingy touring routes. There were nights, instead of resting in a comfortable hotel after the show, he had to accept sleeping on a truck because his wages were not enough to pay for basic utilities. The harshness of life caused his health to decline seriously, but he still chose to keep his pain to himself, not wanting the public to see his haggard image. He departed in silence without fanfare, leaving behind sad songs like his own Destiny songs that have now become legendary in soul music communities that love dusty, authentic styles. For Our Memory Vault. J. Blackfoot is proof of the persistent perseverance of an artist before every adversity. We believe that one does not need the glitter of large stages to make a great artist. Their value lies in the sincere connection with the listener. We admire how he faced poverty and illness without complaining. His disappearance from public sight is a painful lesson about how society did not protect primitive artistic values. Through what he left behind, we see a beautiful soul, a voice that never completely surrendered to oblivion, forever remaining in the old tapes of the era. Zulema. Zulema was a multi-talented female artist who had once struggled to break free from group constraints to find freedom in her solo career. With a soulful mezzo-soprano voice and modern musical thinking, she was once expected to become a great R&B diva. Zulema's recordings were always meticulously cared for, showing deep understanding of musical technique. She was once a bright spot in television programs and large stages, attracting the attention of experts due to her constant creativity. Each of her musical products was a new step forward, carrying the aspiration to assert the talent of a black woman in an industry full of competition and bias. However, Zulema's career met invisible barriers when the market gradually became saturated and record labels prioritized choosing safety. Zulema was gradually removed from promotion strategies, making her name fade in the minds of fans. Instead of trying to compromise to continue standing on stage, she chose a completely different turn, becoming a teacher teaching music at community centers. Her final days, people saw her living a simple life, almost completely separated from the glory of the past. She no longer cared for fame, only finding joy in seeing generations of students grow up, leaving invisible legacies in the hearts of young people. The Our Memory Vault channel asserts that Zulema is a typical model for humanistic internal transformation. Her choice of the teaching path instead of continuing to plunge into meaningless battles in the entertainment world shows a great personality. We believe that her contribution to the community through music has more value than flashy titles or awards. That is the journey of finding peace from giving instead of longing to receive recognition. Zulema taught us that an artist can disappear from the newspaper, but the value they leave in other people's souls will remain forever, over time, whether through music or first lessons. Baby Huey. Baby Huey is not just an artist name, but a musical phenomenon iconic of the psychedelic soul style in Chicago. With a large appearance and fervent performance style, he was the soul of every stage he appeared on. Huey's voice carried a mixture of street power and human sadness, making the audience feel both overwhelmed and wanting to be close. The songs he composed were not just to listen to, but to feel, to see the burning aspirations of a soul trying to find a way to escape old templates. He was a true giant, not just in stature, but in artistic thinking, ready to break every rule to create completely new sounds. Baby Huey's early passing was a massive shock to those expecting a great star of modern soul music. The pressure of expectation, plus not finding a safe escape for internal trauma, caused him to collapse when he was only in his 20s. The legacy he left is not much in quantity, but has a profound influence on many generations of hip-hop artists later on. They found in his voice endless inspiration, turning Huey's old songs into the foundation for big hits of the modern decade. His disappearance is a sad note, but a long-sustained note never ending in the endless musical flow of humanity. For our Memory Vault Baby, Huey is a powerful testament to the vitality of talent beyond time. We believe that it is not important how long the artist lived, but what they left for life. The fact that his name is revived through samples is proof that true art will always find a way to return. We admire how he lived fully with his passion in every short moment. Baby Huey's story reminds us to cherish sensitive artist souls, because sometimes their very fragility is the root of the greatest artistic values worth our cherishing and remembering. Darondo. In the flow of funk music in San Francisco in the 70s, Darondo appeared like a mesmerizing but haunting ghost. With a street aristocratic style from sparkling classic cars to luxurious fur outfits, he created an artistic identity that could not be mixed. The hit, Didn't I, with a smooth, moody voice, became an anthem for dreamers and heart-seeking redemption. Darondo did not just sing, he was self-narrating about life, about hidden desires, and the freedom that a black artist always longs to assert in a society still full of harsh prejudices. His career, though short in explosion, left an unforgettable aftertaste. But the life of this funk master fell into a mysterious void lasting nearly 3 decades. When record labels suddenly stopped producing his music, Darondo almost evaporated from the entertainment world. Rumors wove every hypothesis from him having to go to prison to strange stories about the underworld. In reality, Darondo retreated to live an unknown life, completely separated from the glory of the past. It was not until the early 2000s, when his old music was discovered and unearthed by an independent record label, that the name Darondo was once again mentioned. However, that man had lived almost his entire life in complete oblivion by the public. The Our Memory Vault team is extremely impressed by Darondo's steadfastness in maintaining privacy. We believe that his choice to live in seclusion after the glory faded was not a failure, but a silent resistance against the heartlessness of the industry. Our perspective is that true art does not need flashy show-offs in the newspaper to exist. Darondo is a symbol for artists who choose to disappear to preserve their souls before the chaos of fame. Although the world forgot him for a long time, the musical value he left is forever a precious gem polished by time, reminding us of talents that once shone in the most distinct way. So we have gone together through the journey of discovering 21 lives full of ups and downs behind the stage lights. Through the stories that our Memory Vault has delivered, we hope you have had moments of reflection, feeling more deeply the anxieties behind every timeless melody. They, the geniuses of the era, dedicated everything to art, leaving us invaluable legacies that time can never erase. We are extremely grateful for the audience's companionship throughout the video. The values you receive are not just information about the artists, but also lessons about cherishing kindness, human love, and decency amidst a life full of fluctuations. We wish you always hold on to your passion and have truly happy, peaceful moments with your loved ones and family. If you find this content meaningful, please do not forget to press subscribe, leave a like button, and turn on notifications so we can continue the journey of finding back old values in the next videos. Thank you, and see you again.